Hi, this is Yvonne Teoh Bource from Connect to Soul with your weekly insights and soul wisdom. For the week of, we're into the second week of January 2018 already. So the week of the 7th of January. And I hope that you're having a wonderful beginning of 2018 because I certainly am. And today I thought I'd talk about something that came to me this morning, because the way that I work, I guess, is that I just become quiet and I ask, what do you think we should talk about today? And what came up for me was that my business is called Connect to Soul. And so maybe I ought to be discussing what it is to be connected to soul and why we ought to strive for that. And I thought that was a wonderful topic of conversation, and I hope that you will also, and I hope it will give you some inspiration about searching within yourself and saying, well, is this something that I want to do? Or for many of you, hopefully you already are doing that and you go, oh gosh, yes, that is such confirmation for me. Because that's exactly why I am focused on living from what I call the inside out, and that is being guided by that energy that fuels us. That energy that is infinite and goes on forever. So what is it to be connected to soul, and why? I guess why have I made that such a passion in my life, and why is that the basis of all of my teaching? The thing about that is we talk a lot about intuition, and I always look at words and look at the meaning behind the connotation of the word, because it's so interesting about language. We are taught language by the people that bring us up. So that can be our parents, it certainly is our schooling, it is our culture, it can be our religion, and so the words that we learn, one person's connotation or interpretation of that word could be quite different to another person. One that comes to mind straight away, because when my children were teenagers, and my children are all about 5 and 6 years apart, right? I have 3, and so what I noticed as they grew up is when they got to their teenage years, their language was different. So the eldest, when he went through his teenage years, he had a certain teenage language that came up, and then the next one, it was a different language, and the third one a different one again. And I must say that the language seemed to be deteriorating. However, so let's have an example. Okay, the word that comes up for me is filth. Well, okay, and there are 2 words actually, and the other word is cheers. Now, for me, in my language, cheers was when you have a drink and you wish someone well, right? Cheers. But now it's a greeting, and the word filth, it to me was always a word that described something that was not clean. No, now, in the young language, it's that's filthy. That means it's good, right? So interpretation and connotation of words are very important. And that is why so often we get quite confused. And that is why I really want to talk about something that isn't guiding you. So external influence and external language that is telling you what is reality. It depends on who taught you the language, so to speak. I made a friend of a young girl who did my feet, in one of those lovely pedicure, manicure places that I go to. And she was Vietnamese, or she still is Vietnamese, but she went home, and so she became a Facebook friend. Now, what interests me is, of course, all her Facebook posts are in Vietnamese, and underneath it, it says, see translation. And when I press that, well, what they're actually translated into, I can't understand because it doesn't make sense in English at all. So I can't work out what she's saying. Now, my original language is Dutch because that's where I was born, in Holland. And so I have some friends and some family in Holland, and I still understand and can speak some Dutch, but sometimes I think I must see what it says in the translation. And the translation, sorry, Mr. Google or whoever does that, you're not getting the message because it doesn't match. So often our translation of what we have been taught doesn't match the inner truth or the authenticity of what is being revealed to you. So when we connect to soul, we stop listening with the outer ear and we start listening with the inner ear. We listen to the inner voice. And so I look at the word intuition and what that means. And so if I ask people what does the word intuition means, then I often get, well, it means that there is some sort of message that comes into my head, right? And it's so quick and so subtle that often we miss it. But it doesn't actually come into your head, and it doesn't come from your head, and it doesn't come from wherever you think it comes from. You see, intuition is the inner teacher. Look at the word intuition. It's teaching you from within, where all wisdom that you need in this lifetime lives. We spend a fortune on educating ourselves in institutions, and we stuff all this information into our brain, and we are then examined that we remember it all, right? For what? In this day and age, you can press a button on your computer and you can get any information about anything. You can study anything you want as deeply as you require or as superficially as you require. But the most important thing that we're never taught in any of these institutions is to listen to this, to get familiar with this, and to remember that the more that you focus on the inner teacher, the happier your life becomes, the more you will find contentment, inner peace, direction, and guidance. We're not taught that. We're taught to listen to all the outside stuff because it's the outside stuff that tries to control you. So for me, the path of connecting to soul has been that I've had to step outside of the norm. And you know, the phrase of I am in this world, but I am not of this world has been my true guidance. And what I found that when I actually listen to that inner voice more than the chatterbox that goes by the past data that I've shoved into it, then my life becomes so much more peaceful. It becomes more I go into calmer waters, and I guess what it really does is it's like, I was trying to think about it this morning, and I thought, you know, living disconnected means it's like you look to catch a wave. You know, if you're surfing, I don't surf, but I have seen people surf, and I know how difficult it seems to me anyway to catch a wave. But once they catch that wave, the ride, if they don't fall off it, the ride that comes is amazing. It is exciting. It's ecstatic. Well, that is what you feel when you catch the wave of the inner teacher. It's like riding a magic carpet. And it makes life so much fun. You know, it's like you have a secret. And surprises and what we would call miracles happen all the time, which makes life so, you know, so joyful. I had a little, just simple experiences. And I share my experiences with you because I want you to realize that it's nothing, you know, that is out of your reach. Okay, so yesterday I was driving towards the shopping centre to have my feet done. My feet seem to be important today, but I had a schedule of things to do, and I have said to you last week that I've decided this year particularly I'm not going to be driven by time. So I'm driving there and I'm thinking, now I'm supposed to meet somebody at a certain time, and if I'm running a little bit later than I intended because I did a few more things than I intended. And so if I can't get in to have my feet done straight away and I can't get out by a certain time, then I am late for the other thing. And one thing that I really dislike in my life is being late for things. I like to be on time. I value my time and I value other people's time. So I honor that. So I found myself trying to work it all out in my head, right? Which is what we do. And then all of a sudden I saw that and I went, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? I'm just going to allow life to live through me. I know the things that I would like, but if I can't have my feet done, it's not the end of the world. And then I just have some extra time to just have a coffee or do whatever I want to do. The minute I let it go, everything settled inside of me, and I drove into the car park. I got a perfect park. I walked in. I looked at the place where I had my feet done to see if there were any spare chairs, because I knew that if there were, then there would perhaps be a girl available to do it straight away. I walked up to the gentleman who owns the place and I said, well, I'm just having my feet done, but can you get me out by a certain time? Is someone available? And he said, yep, get in there. So I went straight in. The girl came, she did my feet. Do you know, I was out of there exactly on the dot of when I had asked to be out of there. And everything went so smoothly. So whilst I was there, I was reading my Kindle. And I was reading the current book that we're doing, Spiritual Book Club, Inner Engineering by Sadhguru. And I was just reading about living magically. And I laughed and I said to myself, well, I find that that's how I live all the time. And then my mind went away for a while, and I thought about, when will I make my next trip to Malaysia, where my daughter and my grandchildren live? And I knew from her that she would like me to come soon. And I thought, do you know what? Maybe I can fit it in somewhere in March. No sooner had that thought left my mind and a text comes through on my phone. My daughter saying, how would March suit you for us to come over to you? I just burst out laughing, because for me, that is the magic carpet that I live on. It just made me laugh. And I go, yes, why not? I didn't have to do anything. I was having my feet done. That's what happens when you live a connected to soul life. So all it means to be connected to soul is that you live a life of synchronicity. Synchronicity is when things work together almost seamlessly. Yes? And there's nothing more joyful. And we've all experienced synchronicity in our lives, when we have a thought and it turns up, and then the next thing turns up, and then the next thing turns up, and it just seems to flow. Well, that just shows you that you are living according to the inner teacher. But when you are struggling and pushing and trying to just do a bit more, and here and there and something else, then you know that you are living from up here, which comes from past data, which, by the way, you are interpreting according to what you were taught from others, not necessarily aligned with the highest possibility for you. And that's why it's so important to get in touch with your inner teacher, whatever you want to call that. You know, you can call it God if you want, you can call it friend, nerd, for all I care. I just happen to call it soul, but actually it's the source of all things. It's life, isn't it? So because we have to verbalize everything, we have to give it names. And unfortunately, the minute that you give something a name, the old data connotations of that word interfere. So I don't really care. I'm not attached to the word soul. I like it. I don't have a bad connotation about it. I associate it with that field of consciousness, that spark of life that lives within me, that is breathing me as I'm talking to you, that's making my blood circulate while I'm talking to you, that is making my heart beat while I'm talking to you, and I don't have to do anything about it. It lives life through me, in me, and for me. And so I just feel that the more I listen to that, the more I will be on the path that it created me for. And that's the very reason that I find it so important to be connected to soul, to live from the inside out, so to speak. And as a result, most of my life now is very smooth and calm and balanced. And I have incredible inner peace, and I'm able to turn things around quickly. Because when I do stray off the path, because remember when I said you catch the wave, and if you stay on the wave, it's absolutely wonderful. But if you watched when they crash, when they fall off the wave, the crash is pretty traumatic sometimes, yes? So once you're on that wave, when you fall off, for me, if I fall off, it's so instantly obvious that I pull myself up, I grab my surfboard, and I get back to the next wave as quickly as I can. So it's that conscious awareness of where your vibrational frequency is, and is it in sync with that inner teacher of yours. We're all becoming quite familiar with the word sync. We're syncing our phones and our computers and our iPads and iPods and every other thing, your technological instrument that you might have. And that's fantastic. But what's far more important is to be in sync with this. And that's what Connect to Soul is all about. And that's what my work's all about. It's what all the programs I run. It's the coaching I do. It's the retreats in Bali that I run. It is the inspirational manifestation masterclasses that I do, which really takes you on a ride on that wave. And all the programs I run. And so if you're interested in doing any of those, and if you want to come on the journey with me, then you'll find all the links below, and just connect to them or send me an email. And I'd be so delighted to talk to you or to guide you into any program that is available and that is appropriate for where you're at. So the importance of learning to be connected to that inner teacher is really the journey that I've been on for 30 years, and that is the journey that I will continue to be on until the day, as they say, they shut the lid. And I wouldn't give that up for anything. I just can't. It's such a way of life that has given me so much joy and so much love and so much abundance that I want everyone to have it. I want you to have it. And I definitely want me to have it. So that's why I still work on that every day, every morning. I have a definite ritual that connects me to soul before I put my feet on the floor and go about the doing of the day. I connect to the inner teacher and ask the way. So that's my message for today. My message from my inner teacher. And so I would, one of the things that I do is not stutter, but is that I use oracle cards for me. So, quite often I sit down and I ask for a message for the day. And I am very tuned into the angelic kingdom. I love the feeling of being surrounded by angels. It is really just a great thing for me. And I can always feel that they're there and they connect to me through double digits. I've mentioned that before. When I see double digits on phones or on registration plates on cars or on clocks, then I know that the angels are saying we're here. And so while I'm doing that, I'm actually today I'm using the angel cards by Doreen Virtue, her daily guidance ones, and they're the ones that I use sometimes. So let's just have a look at this. Okay, and that is the card I pulled. Isn't that lovely? Life purpose. So life purpose for me, life purpose really just means to allow life to live through you. Just allow life to live through you. We talked about last week, I talked about why do we struggle with it so much. So this really is the next step. Give up the struggle and allow life to, life that through the inner teacher, allow life to live through you. So what does this lovely card say? It says, the purpose of your life is to serve in a way that brings great joy to yourself and others. So often we spend so much time bringing joy to others, but not to ourselves. But it says here, it puts yourself first. Now, why is that? Because the more joyful you are, the more joyful you are to be around, and the more joy will emanate from you, okay, and make others feel better. Don't worry about finding your purpose. Instead, focus upon serving a purpose, and then your purpose will serve you. Gosh, that's so good. Serve a purpose, okay? So whenever you do anything, do it with purpose. No matter what it is, do it with purpose. And the purpose needs to be that it's always going to be expansive and joyful because you choose it to be, not because of what it is. You just choose it to be joyful because you have the power to feel joyful or not joyful, to feel happy or not happy. That's your choice and it's within your power. That is what's so fantastic. It is within your power in a fraction of a second to change the way you perceive, the way that you interpret, the way that you choose to view and think about things, and most importantly, the way you choose to feel about something. That's in your power. Isn't that fantastic? But we don't use it. We don't use it enough. We don't use it enough. Wow, so life purpose. That was a lovely message and I'm very grateful for it. So I want to complete today with a usual card from, you guessed it, the Keepers of the Light by Carl Gray. And let's see what the Keepers of the Light have to add to this discourse of the week. Ooh, wow, it flew out. Did you see that? Like it when they fly out. Wow. See, now that's living on a magic carpet for me. That means that my inner teacher is listening, it's here, it's guiding me, and it is showing me that we're never alone. So guess what I've got? Okay, the Holy Spirit expect miracles. Yeah, because once you live in alignment with that inner teacher, in alignment with soul, or whatever you want to call that, it seems like there are miracles all around. Remember that only love is real. That's true, because love is the energy of creation. You can only create through love. You cannot create for anything less than love. Because love is not about, oh, I love you. No, love is an energy. It's an energy of creation. It's the highest energy that you can tune into. Because love is the energy of life itself. That's why we hunger for it so much. Not because we need somebody to put their arms around us and say, oh, I love you because you're so beautiful. Hey, that's surface stuff. Real love, authentic love, is the energy of life itself. And that is why when you see a baby born, whether it is a baby calf or a baby, horse, or it is a baby cat or it's a baby human, we can't help but be filled with the power of love of creation itself. So, when you are connected to soul, expect miracles, because remember that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally because spirit has your back. Spirit, soul, whatever you want to call the energy that is you. I love that. That has been a wonderful, wonderful discourse this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I do hope that you get some insights from it. So have a wonderful week. You know I love you. Not because of what you look like, because I can't see you, but because I choose to love. I choose to be love. Because I know what it feels like. And I am surfing life. So, be kind to you. Love yourself. And I shall see you next time. Don't forget, down below are all the links to spend more time with my teachings if you feel drawn to it. Till next time, be at peace.